Well, look at me. I say we're going to get started, and we're going to get started. Welcome, listeners, viewers. If you've been here before, I know it's been a little while since the last time we had a cast. I mentioned in our previous cast we're moving to a new schedule with my time availability. Um, but we're gonna get right into it. If you're new here, hello. My name is Auspicious, and I'm your host today from the Conclave of Aratar, bringing you some community information to help you decide on where you want to settle within our ranks. Just an FYI for those listening, we try to hold these casts now Sundays at 4 Eastern, Fridays at 8 at times. And I encourage you, if you get the little, join, notify, subscribe to our channel, get that notification going if you're going to tune in to our discussions here. Feel free. Please ask questions in the Twitch chat as I see them come in. We've got Crux von Eisenhaven and Kjeldor, the Bienemeister here. And if there's something that you wanted to discuss or some topic that we're talking about that you've got an interesting question on, please do post that inside the Twitch channel, and we'll ask them about it. For those of you who are new to the channel, we're a community gathered around the upcoming game, The Chronicles of Elyria. It's a game in development by Soulbound Studios. Now, if you're interested in learning a little bit more of this upcoming game, there should be a link below that'll take you to their website. Like I mentioned earlier, we, the host and the guests here, are members of the Conclave of Aratar. The Conclave of Aratar is a duchy within the Kingdom of Vornair, and we're going to be introducing you to some of the members of our community, discussing some of the topics about our community and the game, The Chronicles of Elyria. Like I said earlier, joining us this week as guests are Crux von Eisenhaven and Kjeldor the Bienemeister. I would attempt saying your last name, but as we did in pre, I'm god awful at pronunciation. So if you guys would just say hi here.
Hi, how you doing?
Hey, hello.
So Crux, Kjeldor, we run these. We're trying to really give you two, as community members, an opportunity to say, hey, Illyrian world, we exist. This is what we're about. And if you're interested, if you haven't decided on where you want to settle, or if you're new to the community, to the game, it'll let them decide that, hey, settling in your city, Crux, or learning the trade secrets of the bee, get a nice buzz that way. Kjeldor, that they can come to you, they can say, reach out and know that they're in good company. So yeah, with that in mind, we're going to ask you a bunch of questions, questions about the games you've games you paid for, no, games you've played in the past, and the things that you kind of reach for. As gamers, we're a varied group of individuals. Some people like to play games like PUBG, Fortnite, Call of Duty, FPSers that pit man against machine, or man against man, woman against woman, Z against Z for those non-gender among us, and they like that competition. They like that first person, the warlike setting, and they like that competition. Others among us play games like Eve or Stellaris or Crusader Kings, or things that are not as overtly violent, but still requires a degree of competition, StarCraft, stuff like that, or but are more on the planning side, the puppet master pulling the strings. And there's others among us who like role playing or PvE environments, stuff like World of Warcraft. A lot of people like that for the player versus environment like settings, or if you do D&D or games, they don't have to be video games. They can be games, real world games. Not that video games are real world, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But things
Semantics.
Semantics, yeah, things that are semantic driven. No, things that are role play driven, and allow you to play a different character, if that's so. We want to get a feel for what that is, what type of games, what type of things do you reach for when you're looking to scratch that itch. So just transitioning right over, we want to know about your gaming background. What are some of the games that you've played in the past, Crux?
Um, well, I mean, I grew up in a time period where, like, the new thing when I was like first playing video games was like, Super Nintendo and Genesis. So I've gone all the way up from like, Mortal Kombat, Battletoads, that kind of stuff, up until, the newest stuff that I like now is stuff like, I don't know, Hearts of Iron. I like the most recent Halo, that kind of thing. So kind of all over the place. I like Fable, that sort of thing. Chivalry.
Now,
Big.
when you're
No, go
reaching,
ahead. You good?
no, you're okay. When you're reaching for these games, you mentioned stuff like Fable, like Halo, Hearts of Iron. Is it the mechanics of the game that really drive you towards it, or is it the theme and the style? Well, if I've got a spread of games out in front of you, are you picking up something that's more first-person shooter, more combat oriented, more strategic? What's the itch there?
Generally, I don't know. I'm a big fan of the RPG sort of stuff, so I kind of like putting myself in the place of the character if I find them interesting. It's pretty well irrelevant what the style of gameplay is. If the story's good enough, I'll play anything. But I do tend to gravitate more towards military style games like Milsim, like Arma, and that kind of thing, just because that's the style of gameplay that I tend to like.
Gotcha. A good story and maybe in an area that you've got some experience, some comfort in there. All right,
Yeah.
all right. Kjeldor, how about you? When you're looking for a game, what's some games you've played in the past?
So one of the games that I've sunk an insane amount of time into, and actually where I think Crux and I first played games together was Team Fortress 2. So
Mhm.
with the first-person shooters, I definitely love those. But I also have a lot of time in games like Guild Wars 2. I played RuneScape years and years and years ago. Um, I love games like Folktale and because Folktale. So I'm really into kind of civilization building end war style games. I like one where you have to do more than just like build a farm so you can increase the capacity limit. I like having to actually fulfill needs in a game, and at the same time have the challenge. So a lot of the Anno games I really loved, going years back. Um, but now still it's like I've been playing Monster Hunter World, play Overwatch, play Destiny 2, but I also still play things like Stonehearth, which is another game where you just have a few people and you start building a town and you have to actually design the buildings and you have to, make farms, but you have to build a military and defend them, stuff like that. And then I love survival games and space survival, space engineers, stationeers, things like that. So there's a whole wide gamut of games that I play. And I feel kind of like how Crux said, when if you have a character or like a storyline that's really good, then I'll play it. Doesn't necessarily depend on the style of game it is, because when I look at a game, it's kind of my thought is, how captivated am I going to be about this? Am I going to play this all night and then can't wait to play it, while I'm at work tomorrow? Can't wait to get home and play it. So, and there's a lot of things I see in COE that I feel are gonna really just keep me wanting to be at home playing.
Yeah, yeah, and I think you bring up an interesting dichotomy in your preference of games. You mentioned stuff like Team Fortress 2, Destiny 2, and those sort of first person. But you said, there's a lot of environmental, if the story's good enough. And that sort of thing, does the environment pull you in? Is it immersive? And with the Chronicles of Elyria coming out, that's a big thing with the studio and the frustrations. You know, Jeremy Caspian, Mr. Walsh, the lead designer, the owner of the studio, basically. He's gone on record before and he said, hey, I've been working on the Chronicles of Elyria as a concept, as a game for over 10 years, and one of the driving factors behind that is the immersiveness of the game, the how real does it feel when you're playing it? How does, are you I relate it to drugs and addiction to some degree, but how much do you want to, you're sitting there, maybe you've got a 9 to 5 job, and it's 4:45, and you've been thinking about it all day. The first thing you're going to do when you get home is scratch that itch. And I think that's real important, not to say that games like Destiny, like Team Fortress, are not immersive in their ways. Destiny definitely has a storyline to it, but a lot of times we tend to run for those more action-packed games in for their action, for their excitement, for their competition, while other games are requiring a deep storyline to pull you in. Think, The Witcher, or some of the other storyline, like I'm thinking Assassin's Creed right now, which maybe isn't the best example, but they have a story.
Anything Elder Scrolls?
Anything other, well, Elder Scrolls is a fun one because Elder Scrolls runs that open world concept with a driving storyline that you can just ignore.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Yeah, that's true.
But those immersive worlds, Elder Scrolls and Fallout, such that you have choices, you're in control, and you get what you put into it. And I think that's a fun game concept right there. To circle back to what your gaming background means for the Chronicles of Elyria in these cases, Crux, you as we talked about your gaming background and your position in the Conclave of Aratar, you're the mayor of Eisenhaven. And the people who are going to be looking at Eisenhaven, looking at your area, and Kjeldor, you're one of his citizens, correct?
He's basically my second in command.
Second in command, yes. I wasn't going to step on any power toes here, so I figured I would ask. But as a citizen of Eisenhaven, as Crux, being a mayor, how much do you two feel that the games that you enjoy drive the decisions you make in your leadership role? I know that there's a whole idea of Eisenhaven, and we're going to talk about that in a question in the future. What do you want to do and whatnot? What type of city is Eisenhaven going to be? Eisenhaven TM. Anyway. But when we talk about your gaming background, how does that impact Eisenhaven or yourselves as leaders?
I feel like being a mayor is mostly about management of resources and people, and I've got enough experience in games that deal with that sort of thing. Obviously, none that I really listed, but I've played enough MMOs. MMORPGs, all that kind of stuff, that I've got a pretty good idea on how to manage, what needs to be managed. And, this being a leadership position, I'm sure I can handle it. The big question is going to be economy, making sure everything's balanced correctly, but you don't really know that until you get your supply lines, what you're near, what you're not, that sort of thing. So, it's all going to kind of fall into place. It's just a question of learning what I have to work with.
Yeah. And you made an interesting comment there. You suggested, falsely, I believe, but you suggested that the games that you say you've played in and you've played with others, and didn't do a great job of outlining any leadership potential or having experience in some of the games, or at least in skills that'll translate over to Chronicles of Elyria. And I argue against that a little bit. Regardless if you're leading a group of people in Team Fortress and you've managed to convince, because you know how this goes in multiplayer games, you manage to convince people to follow behind your banner and do something rather than jumping over a wall to their death.
Right.
That
I totally know what I'm doing.
I totally. Let's everybody rush the left side. Everybody rush it. Gosh.
Yeah.
Darn it,
Anisha.
Anisha.
Into was Anisha. We actually also have a ton of time in DayZ, in the DayZ mod for Arma. And we would always roll with a group of people. And I feel like it was either myself or Crux that would usually be like, all right, everyone, this is where we're going to meet up. and then we would lead people in and be like, all right, we need to get this, we need to do that. And so everyone we've played with, because we're all friends, everybody has input. Not everybody always wants to say something, but I know that between us two, we've never had any problem of just stepping up when nobody makes a decision and be like, all right, this is what we're going to do.
Right.
And usually there isn't much backlash with it. Like, people, like, the way we go about doing things, people haven't really argued against us or anything like that. So with all of our friends, it's always been very smooth the way that we've been playing in groups. And sometimes our groups could be, I don't know, like 8 people, sometimes a bit more, playing games like that, where it's, again, very, DayZ, very open world. You could run around, go wherever you want, do whatever. But people are very into being there, working as a team, and backing each other up. And there's just so much fun we've had in that game.
Yeah, granted, that's not the smoothest of transitions from that sort of thing to this, but I mean, I feel like some of that does carry over.
Yeah, there's definitely leadership potential in individuals who can make decisions in high stress environments. Hopefully, you're not as high stressed in Elyria, or maybe you are if you want to be. I think that's one of the beauties of the game, is there's a flexibility there to get what you want out of the game. But I love that you shout out to Arma and DayZ when it was an Arma mod. I remember playing those games, and oh man, they're being able to take it's a lot like Rust in today's world, or if you've played the the standalone DayZ game, that being able to take a group of people, maybe you know them, maybe you don't, maybe you know most of them but don't know all of them, or maybe you know some of them and then manage to lasso a few unknowns into the group just because you showed up on their doorstep full of gear, and they're like, we will worship you, oh great and powerful one. But the fact that in those games they're free decision. Like, if you choose to go left or go right, that is completely your choice. If you end up playing a game like well, we can go all the way back to Mario World or Mario Smash Brothers, you just go forward. And if you don't go forward, you go back. And if you don't go forward, sometimes you can't go back. So, being able to have an opportunity to, make multiple decisions in a game like the Arma mod of DayZ or in other similar games, I think that does, show some leadership potential. And as long as we're talking about leadership potential here, we're going to kind of transition to that next question that I generally ask that we've got for you, and that's really, when we start talking leadership, when we start talking about how you lead a group of people, a community, how you make decisions, what type of leadership principles guide your decision making? We've had a number of different viewpoints on this cast, on this channel, when it comes to this question, and I like phrasing or leading into this really with, leaders have come in all shapes and sizes throughout history, and we can draw inspiration, whether they were good people, bad people, or the worst people, on their leadership potential. There's no such thing as a one-man army, and so everybody is dependent on each other. So whether you're talking Steve Jobs to Bill Gates, Churchill to Hitler, I'm struggling for more names right now. Trump to Tutalini. What when we talk about leadership, what principles guide your decision making here?
Generally, is it good? If it's not good for anybody, how can I make a decision good for the most amount of people with minimal negative impact on, I generally it's set. Well, first of all, since we've got a leadership structure where I'm certainly furthest from the top, am I doing what's good for the people that are above me and the people that neighbor me? Yeah, basically. How can I make the decision that's going to positively affect the most people? Like, I'm not solely concerned about the good of myself. If I'm leading a place, I want everybody to have the same opportunities to survive, thrive, however you want to put it. Yeah.
So when you say that, what you're suggesting there, what I hear from you is, basically, you're very cognizant, you're very aware of a community does not exist without its community members, and it's less about what you're looking to do in terms of your community, in terms of your leadership style, and more about what is perceived as best or what is best for the group as large, you know. So even though, you know, you Crux really would like to be, let's say, a carrot farmer. Let's say you've got dreams of becoming the best carrot farmer in the world, and you know, your carrots are going to be, you know, renowned for being larger, thicker, plumper, sweeter than all the other carrots. But if the community doesn't want carrots, or if they're more of a potato harvesting community, then you're saying that's fine. You'll give up your aspirations for the carrot farming to a degree. I mean, we're all self-serving gamers here, to a degree, in order to give the community what it needs, or find somebody who can give the community what it needs. That's what you're suggesting here. The good of the many outweigh the good of the few. All right, all right. Would you? I guess, you know. Would you agree with that? Is that something that you think is appropriately mirrored? Gosh, Kjeldor?
As far as he goes, yeah, I can definitely see that. As far as I myself go with things, I have more of a tendency to focus on and notice other people's strengths, and I kind of work more for placing people or helping them become better. So I'm more for like people managing directly. Whereas I kind of would need somebody like him to be more overall picture kind of type leader, to be like, all right, well, this is what we need. And I'm like, all right, you tell me that's what you need. I know like these two people will be perfect for it. So as you know, then I could go to them and be like, how do you guys feel about it? And if you don't want to do it, who do you think is best to do it? Because it's your skill, it's not mine. And we'll just kind of go from there in means of divvying work. And that's something that I kind of have a good amount of practice and skill in already, being from a military background. So I've been in position where, you know, I've been in charge of people and ran a team. So it's not anything new to me. And it's not necessarily the same in games, but it's also not necessarily different.
Interesting, and I like that, you know, you were able to give that angle, because, you know, like you suggested there, it does sound like Crux. You're to some degree the man behind the curtain, but you know, you're looking at the big picture. You're looking at the health of the body as a whole, and then you've also got, you know, you've got the man on the ground, Kjeldor, and he can get you what you need in order that the health of the group as a whole is maintained, or is enjoyable, or whatever you feel, whatever is felt by that community.
Right.
Yeah, no, I think that's a very healthy setup, and it's good to see that you've got a start, if not the start, the people you need in that place. Now, does that suggest that, you know, in making your leadership decisions here, Crux, that, you know, you need more people? You know, like, Kjeldor, don't be worried. We're not selling your job right now. That's it's a competitive job market and unemployment is low. But that being said, you know, what type of people are you looking for? What other community members, if someone's aspiring to be very helpful or very central to your party, your group, are there types of individuals that you see a lot of value in here?
Well, I mean, first and foremost, the primary goal of our town, as it currently stands and as it will likely continue to stand, is to supply the military. So I'd like people, predominantly craftsmen, you know, weaponsmith, armorsmith, etc., etc. I'm not necessarily going to place a higher value on them to the community as other people, but that is going to be the goal of the community. That said, there's plenty of things that go into the support of that industry as a whole. You know, mining, people raising livestock for, like, you know, obviously meat, leather for the weapons, armor, etc., etc. But I mean, as long as you can at least halfway contribute toward that, I'm okay with that. As long, keep the people in the community fed, keep them supplied. If you can work toward that, you're good by me.
Yeah, and so you brought up, supplying the military. There was a lot of dialogue there that, crafting and creation and design. These are some themes that I picked up on when you were talking right there. So with your settlement, with your package, with the town of Eisenhaven, you're looking for that to lean. I mean, this is going to be a very general game, I guess I want to say. Like, um, it takes all sorts to achieve goals, and it has a lot of mirror to reality. But you're looking to lean towards the crafting side of things, towards the creation, towards skills and proficiencies that enable other individuals, be that in the crafting of swords, the making of houses, the crafting of armor, the building of sewing tools or boats, or you're looking for something that is looking into production, probably mainly with the production of weapons and armor, right?
Predominantly, yes.
So, are there any moral implications to being a individual who manufactures the goods that destroy other people's livelihood?
As long as I don't swing them, no.
Oh, perfect. See, I think we can work together here. But yeah, no. One of the fun things about games, you get to, live a life that is relatively consequence free. So being able to produce, support, enable PvP games is an important outlook for communities. And so if you're looking for people who are looking to be armor smiths or weaponsmiths or support that thereof, because let's see, in your mind, Kjeldor and Crux here, if you've got one person, maybe he's a master blacksmith for armor and weapons, how many people need to be out there to support him? Like what type of supporting trades need to exist for a master blacksmith? Or does he do everything himself?
Well, obviously, you're going to need a miner, you're going to need a hunter, and you're going to need a tanner. That alone, and then also you're going to need a a woodsman. I almost said a woodsmith, and a carpenter. So you figure for every one, depending on the volume of what they can supply and how quickly he can use it, you have 5 people to every one actual craftsman.
So there's
At that level of crafting.
Yeah, at that level of crafting. So there's a whole support job market that exists for that. And you mentioned woodsmith there. I just want to point out that a carpenter and a woodsmith would at least thematically be about the same thing. So
I was attempting to say a wood chopper or a woodsman, but then somehow it came out woodsmith.
Gotcha. No, good chuckle there. But yeah, no. It sounds like there's the settlement that you're planning, the area that you're gonna be in. Your town is currently devoted to the county, the gateway. Is looking for individuals who like that production, like to be there to build things for making blades and supporting blades, tanners, hunters. It takes a village, you would say.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We definitely need a bard.
Definitely need a bard. Someone's got to tell the stories of the time that old Elfstone, the hammer head came off and hit Gregory in the back of the head, and that's why his face is now made out of metal.
Yes, we need the crustiest bartender we can get.
Crustiest bartender, yes. Maybe there'll be an inn in town, and it'll be called the Krusty Bar. Maybe it serves predominantly crab cakes, and
there you go.
We can make the association there. Yeah. But yeah, no, you want to make Eisenhaven a fun, a safe place to live with the production of weapons and armor.
Hey man, the armed populace is a safe populace.
Yeah.
No, that's a horrible thing to say. I'm not going to get into the political ramifications of that. Anyway.
I mean, you are the head politician in that small area. I mean, we could talk to Insight, who is the count of the gateway, or we'll bring it up another level to the Duchess if need be. But I think you're allowed at any point here in what is your broadcast to say what you feel is true. Albeit, I'm not suggesting that.
Yeah.
Shovels in the hands of hobbits was ever going to save anybody from Mordor. Um, yes, but so yeah, are there other things about your settlement about Eisenhaven? I'm looking at the slides you've prepared, and see if there's a good segue here. So you're looking, and so interesting. So I switched over to the Eisenhaven slide right now. So you're looking
Hmm.
for one of trade, one of economic hubs of Darkmire, which is known as the Gateway,
Yeah,
after the
that
rebranding.
changed.
Yep,
My
yep,
bad.
yep. No, you're fine. You're fine. I mean, it's a good thing to point out if individuals are listening to this now or in the future. We have 6 viewers. I'm waving at you right now, in case you're wondering. 6 viewers, and if those individuals remember the history of Darkmire County and if the term Darkmire is used in conversation that we're talking about the Gateway. Um, but yeah, looking to be, this economic input in the area, not necessarily looking for PvP like things. We were talking earlier, Crux, about, you come to Eisenhaven to buy a sword, to build a sword, to, be a sword, if that is what you look to be. And you stay because it's a nice place,
Yeah.
or you stay and finish that sentence as you will, as you like. Um, you said late, but we were talking specifically about role play and all that stuff. Individuals who want to put on the face of a character and play that character, and you were saying that's a great thing. You don't always participate it in yourself, but there's definitely no ill will for those who do. Isn't that correct?
No, certainly not. I'm not going to discriminate on any basis.
Yeah, no, and I think that's always good. That's always important. There's a story that I've told before on here, and it's from the old Ultima Online. If anyone has heard of or played Ultima Online, it's it was one of the first MMO-like games, and the story that I've told and that I'll tell right now is basically there was a man, and he didn't look too impressive. He wasn't wearing rags, but a commoner, you would think, and a player character sitting on the shore of the ocean, on the shore of a lake, and he would cast his reel into the lake, into the sea, and catch a fish. And he would take that fish and he would put it right next to himself, and then he would walk 5 feet to the left and cast again. And he had continued to do this until there was a line of fish from where he had started to where he was right now, and an awfully long line, if stories be told. But and a younger, maybe more arrogant adventurer was riding by one day to this man on the shore banks, and had just come back from some event where he had slain a foe or raided a tomb, was laden with riches and treasures, and he was wearing nice armor and had a good sword and maybe a little more full of himself than he ought to have been. But he looks at this pauper for catching fish, and he says, hey, I see that you're fishing, you're working very hard for, these fish, but, you don't, this is just you obviously want to be living a life like I do, is what the mentality was basically saying, what the man was saying, albeit in fewer words. If you need help, fisherman, I will give you this armor, I will give you this sword, so you can go out and you can slay beasts and be just like me. And the fisherman kind of stops for a moment, and he, doesn't say anything, and then he looks at him, and I like to imagine it was in a slightly different voice than my voice, but all I have is my voice right now. So he turns and he looks at him and he says, Be gone, be gone, be gone, be gone, Sir Knight. We don't need your type around here. I go and I catch these fish, and I gather these fish, and I take these fish into the city, and then I sell these fish, and it is a good job to sell fish like this. And don't you be looking down on my career choice. I catch enough such that I can sell them at markets and go into the town and then drink my fill and a lot of heavy role play like this player had created this persona for himself of he was a fisherman, he caught his fish, he gathered his fish, he sold his fish in the city, and then he took his paycheck to the bar where he promptly drank his fill of whatever was being poured down his throat that night. And it's just a fun little role play exercise, fun little example of situations where an immersive storyline gets to create a story, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, what I'm suggesting here, Crux, is you're not the man on the horse, but the bartender serving him, not maybe the bartender, but the bartender serving him the ale, listening to the story. Maybe not partaking, but definitely supporting.
Yeah, that's the plan.
That is the plan. Here I go, talking myself hoarse with a fun little story. If you're wondering, that was not me. I am not said fisherman, but maybe someday. Who knows? So what else is there about Eisenhaven? You're looking to be a trade hub, an economic center. You wanna support people's crafting like decisions and mentalities here. What are some other things about Eisenhaven that you can let us know? Things that are attractions in the Eisenhaven area. Each count, each mayor, each individual who is pledged to the Chronicles of Elyria at this point has some degree of EP, exposition points. You have the ability to spend some of this capital that you have at this point to build the things that you want to build in the Chronicles of Elyria. What are some of those things that you're looking to create, to build? What are some attractions that you're going to support? We have, had people in the past like Count Titus Magnus, who wants to build a Colosseum and support a Oktoberfest. There's individuals who want to run festivals or have the idea of building a wall, albeit for one reason or another. There's ideas here. What are some of the fun things that you're going to support? If I come to Eisenhaven here, am I going to, if I'm one of the first, say first 10 settlers to Eisenhaven, get a free duck? Is that something that you're looking to support, or what are some of the attractions of Eisenhaven?
The candles.
Well, yeah, there you go. You get free candles from Bienemeister over here. Not free, but you get candles. No, seriously. I was kind of thinking, Coliseum's a halfway decent idea, but I think I'd do it, kind of dumbed down a little bit. Just kind of like a fighting ring. People kind of test their skills. Obviously not lethal, because that'd be bad. You don't want one of the best blacksmiths in the area dying for somebody else's entertainment.
Or losing a hand.
Yeah, especially not the important one.
I was going to build that sword for you, but well, I'm suddenly finding out that I'm a lefty.
Yeah, it's in the dirt.
Just have to be a blacksmith like the dude in How to Train Your Dragon.
Yeah, there you go.
I'm sure somebody will reach down and give you a hand if that were to happen, though.
If we are water adjacent, I would like to have, no, you don't know. Anyway, this is just how I talk. If we are water adjacent, I'd like to have some kind of like marina or something like that, where something else that could help support our trade in the first place would be building boats, using those as a means to distribute our products, or I don't know. That's completely contingent on whether we are water adjacent.
Well, that leads to an interesting line of questioning there, and I don't think we've gotten into this at this point, So you say if we're water adjacent, if we're this, if we're that.
Right.
Imagine it's Christmas and you've gotten
Okay.
everything you want out of domain selection.
Mhm.
Domain selection will, of course, at this point, it is 9918 at 4:46 Eastern. Soon. It will be soon. Trademark. If you were to get everything you want out of domain selection, then what do you get? Are you a Kipik living on the waves? Are you a what race would you guys generally settle with? Not that since you're just mayors, not just mayors, but just mayors. You aren't restricted to too much in terms of race. Are you looking for a mountain like some of our Iskarian fellows? Are you looking for plains? Are you looking for the coast? What are you looking for if you get everything you want out of the domain select?
Ideally, the top three are a mountain, because we plan to mine. That'd be a good thing to mine out of. A coast or river, one or the other, and at least some degree of
Decently
forest.
fertile. Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
fertile
and
soil as
decently
well.
Fertile soil.
Yeah.
It's very important.
You want
Plan to be able to
some
farm, lumberjack, mine, and water access. That's the big four.
Big four water access. You want an island made up of rock, rich with precious metals, that is also
That'd be nice.
fertile. Whew,
Yes,
you've got
rock island.
a fertile rock island. You're looking for Japan, but with more farming.
There you go. Yeah.
Well, that'll be interesting. It's a big ticket to fill. Okay. So hopefully your
I don't mean
water.
an island. I just mean a sector.
Yeah, I mean it's not necessarily the craziest thing because you have to figure we are going to have the means to travel, and in some cases it's entirely, yes, you're going to have to travel. Now we could be close enough to water, don't have to be on the water,
No.
and you could just have kind of like a small subsection in the town, depending on population, which lives down there, and it could just be farmers and a boat builder. Meanwhile, primarily, you probably want more of the people towards mountains and forests, kind of about where they would meet, probably.
So you're looking for a transition zone, is what I'm hearing.
Basically.
Yeah,
Um,
transition zone is probably the best area.
Gotcha. I was really going to strongly suggest that you don't let your dreams be dreams, and given that the Soulbound Studios has made a statement more than once that you can either have a water physics game or you can have Chronicles of Elyria, and you can't have both. Which means there could be some very interesting coding around lakes, rivers, and that sort of thing. So maybe it's not completely unheard of if there were precious metals underneath a lake or a river that some island in the center would allow you to create this giant mining complex under the water. It could be interesting.
All they need for the sea is Assassin's Creed 4, and we're set.
Yeah, there you go.
But yeah, no. So it may be fishing, but you're looking for a transition zone that'll allow you to do everything you want with minerals and everything you need in order to support that. So yeah. Was there other big attractions that you thought of as this point? Maybe a blacksmith fair every year where skilled smiths come in and they don't leave because you detain them.
I don't know if I'd detain them, but it would be kind of interesting to just hold that sort of thing where people from all over could come around and just kind of display what they've got and what they've done, what they can do.
What I would like to see is something in regard to that, but it's more like decorative. So you would have like a smith and an engraver who work together. So that way, instead of people just trying to be like, I made the sharpest, largest, lightest sword, it would be like, I've made the most decorative, beautiful kind of type deal where people could then look, and it would be an area where a lot of people, including like nobility and stuff, can come around and then decide on somebody to make their family sword or something like that, to design something that has their crest on it, or something of that aspect. So that way they won't necessarily be from Eisenhaven, but Eisenhaven will be known for that. So
Yeah.
then the tale of such thing will go around. So when somebody, visits a house and they say, that is beautiful, where'd you get it? They can say, I got it at the annual craft fair in Eisenhaven.
Yeah, you want to establish a reputation for something above par, which is what we intend to be. Or wait, there's that below. Golf reference. Anyway.
Above par.
You know what I mean.
Your products or the wares that are sold at the annual Eisenhaven craft fair are arguably above par, or at least that's the intention. You see this is the your line, and we want to be above that line. We want to be better. Though if maybe you don't. I don't want to judge. I don't want to control your region here. If you want to, I can put it on a banner. It'll say, "Come to Eisenhaven. Our goods are subpar."
Yeah, that'd be bad.
Yeah, no, I above par, yes.
If we were all about like golfing, then go for it.
There you go. There you go. Make like a jeweled 5-iron.
Jeweled 5-iron. Eisenhaven will get you below par.
There you go.
Yeah, see. Yeah. So yeah, that's. I hope that you take that idea of a craft fair, and you run with it. That sounds something interesting, something that we've heard a little bit about it here and there from other mayors, from other counts, of a desire to gather resources, people, craft goods that are impressive, or people put effort towards. But I haven't heard anybody say they're actually going to do a craft fair yet. That's relatively new. So if you run with that idea, listeners, you heard it here first. They have a 1 year. They have a 1 year contract. They have 1 year. Oh gosh, what is it? I'm not in licensing. I don't do contracts and licensing. What is it called? I'm an inventor. I invent something. You can't invent this thing for,
Trademark, patent?
Patent. There we go. Patent. Thank you. There's a 1 year patent on the Eisenhaven Craft Fair, so you cannot use the term Eisenhaven Craft Fair without paying a $5 fee to Mayor Crux von Eisenhaven, and $1 of which will be going to Asbestos' retirement fund.
There you go. He's on retainer or something.
Yeah, no, I see. I get the word out there, and I just take my cut. That sort of thing. Yeah, outside of attractions, the only other question that we generally have prepared is about role playing and that sort of thing. And since you're going to be an enabler and not an active member in those communities, I'm not going to go too deep into asking questions about that. But I do want to make sure that for the both of you, Kjeldor and Crux here, are there things that we haven't discussed at this point that you feel are important and you would like to record, discuss with our 6 viewers at the moment?
I kind of feel like people that are coming to the area, I want them to feel more artistically free. Not necessarily like, it's great to have people come and just be like, all right, what do you need me to do? All right, I'm gonna do it. But I would love to have people that have that mindset but want to do things unique, like still efficient but unique. So obviously we're going to need a carpenter that, can make beds, tables, chairs, whatever, can make stuff, make bows for hunters and all. But somebody that kind of is a little more interested in putting a flair into it. So someone that's not just, like I said, not just going to craft regular stuff, but they might be a little into engraving.
Yes, okay. So just stuff that's not the norm, basically.
Yeah,
stuff that sets itself apart.
Yes, that's kind of what we want. That's one reason why, like, I decided I'm going to be a beekeeper and a candlestick maker, because it's something a bit unique and definitely something you don't see in many areas when it comes to the gaming world. And I feel like I can have a lot of fun with that. But I can still also contribute, because people need light at night. It gets dark, so...
Yeah,
thanks for the help on that.
And I don't think we got a chance to we'll sidebar for a second here. Let me hear Crux stay over in that corner for a second. Kjeldor, yeah, just right here. Yeah, thanks. I don't think we've taken the chance to talk about your beekeeping. or at least your candlestick making. Are are you in an association? Do you have maybe a butcher and a baker working with you as a candlestick maker?
Not yet. The positions are open. I've been looking to build this team.
Yes. We'll look very cardinal beekeeper or regular beekeeper. Sorry, I left our corner for a second. We're looking for that butcher baker candlestick maker team to. We think great things can occur with the butcher, the baker, and the candlestick maker. You
Well,
you
I
fill
mean,
you
the
fill an
position
important
of
role.
the position of wife is open. So if there's a woman who would like to be a baker, and then we can create.
Oh, wait, 1 second here. That woman has every ability to be a butcher. We're not,
That's very
listeners,
true. But
we're not
actually,
carding out.
that is where high heels first came from, butchers. So that's actually a very good point.
And their
But
calves.
it's kind of more in the aspect of I just don't want to have to deal with the blood directly all the time, than the smell. Let the kids get dirty. That's their job.
See, I see. So you're looking for
I like a woman who
Mrs.
smells of vanilla.
Yeah, a woman who smells of vanilla. Yes, make all of the cakes. I'm so sorry, people. We went from 6 to 4. Anyway, the point being, you'll do the candlestick making. You'll get yourself a baker, and then the kids will be butchers.
Yes.
Hopefully of domestic animals and not of neighbors, but you can only
Yeah.
win so many battles here.
Hopefully, I mean, I will have a little bit of livestock, so we'll see.
Domestic animals rather than your neighbors' children. So
Oh my.
we don't want a child butchering fest here. But
Yeah, that'd
what
be bad.
NPCs do, I guess nobody can fault an NPC for its actions. It's not control, or I guess it is controlling itself, but it's anyway, whatever. Um, down the rabbit hole we go. Yeah, no. Sir Serpentius. I'm assuming moniker off of the Serpentius. Ask Cardinal Bee or a Cardinal Beekeeper or regular Beekeeper. When I first read that, I was reading it as a Carnal Beekeeper rather than a regular Beekeeper, which had a completely different connotation to it. So I'm not sure. Has Soulbound, and maybe you know this, Kjeldor, has Soulbound suggested? Oh, okay. Well, there we go. Has Soulbound suggested that different varieties of bees here? The
Um.
beekeeping world, real life, has different varieties and the flowers that they
Oh yes,
partake
I've
in.
I've played with the beekeeping in Minecraft. I am well aware.
Real world, yes. Anyway, the point being, I know that there's a lot of
I have
emphasis.
not seen anything yet. I haven't like actively stayed on top of it, but I do occasionally take looks, and I'm like, oh, I wonder if more information on this has come out. I'll do quick little searches, and I haven't seen too much on the beekeeping yet, so I'm not entirely sure in what aspect, like if it's going to be strictly like just kind of honey, or if it's like, am I going to? Because one thought I had, and one reason why I feel like the fertile land is very important is I would hope that bees are going to be very important in pollination as well. So then I will, aside from keeping bees to get honey and other such things, that I will be able to lend them out to farmers, to pollinate fields.
Yeah, I
But
know
we'll see.
there's
You
a
know,
multi-million dollar market in the United States just for that, and it would be
yes.
fantastic if that could be, and maybe with some research, of course. I mean, let's not. Rome wasn't built in a day. Maybe with some research, if the individuals who have your bees get a few more or a better quality crop because of it, that could be a
Yes, like
fun
a higher
mechanic.
yield.
Yeah, higher yield,
Yeah.
or the crops. Maybe it'll be your bees specifically because you treat them so well. They're your BBs. Um, but anyway, the bees help farmers gather what in other games would be called epic quality crops. Just a thought. Oh, we'll see. Hopefully, when Soulbound releases more information, I know you're going to be keeping your ear to the ground on everything and anything bee related. Crux, I don't know if there's anything that you have a passion for outside of upper management.
Well, I'd personally like to be one of the smiths.
Oh, so you're shooting for that Smith world.
Yeah. I mean, being the fact that that's the main goal of the town, I'd like to at least partake so I have, something to relate to as far as that goes.
Okay, okay. And I know we've had some I know we've had some drops from Snipe Hunter about crafting and general crafting. There's been a lot of intention in the forums, a lot of discussion about what that is going to look like in terms of weaponsmithing, armor smithing, crafting in those mediums. Senior Serpentius here says that if we look up the Renewal Festival, just to go back, sorry, to Kjeldor's comment about or question about the cardinal bees, that in the Renewal Festival post on the forums, that's where we discussed, or where they discussed, sorry, the possibility of cardinal bees. So we'll check that out. I'll add it to the notes when I post the video onto YouTube. But yeah, no, and talking about Crux, talking about blacksmithing and armor smithing and stuff like that. That's so there's a term. How many hats do you wear?
Right.
As a mayor, you've got your mayor hat on, and that's a pretty heavy hat.
Oh yeah.
And then armor smithing, weaponsmithing. Is that a hobby, or are you shooting for the top there?
I'd say that's probably a hobby. That's going to be certainly secondary to the mayoral duties. It's going to just kind of be when I can do it, sort of thing.
Gotcha. And we don't know what the mayoral duties will be. Maybe it's,
Right.
5,000 hours a day in game time. Maybe it's 5 minutes in real life. Who knows? You're the way I always put it, and this is a little bit more for our future listeners, is, when you're a leader in a gaming community, you're a leader of a gaming community. So we use the term mayor because you've got a mayor package, and there'll be individuals in your entourage, in your area, that fall within your responsibility, be it one way or another, as we've discussed earlier, in the way that you make decisions and the type of community you look to nurture. But you're a community leader, and I think yourself. You've come to terms. A lot of the mayors, counts, the Duchess, as we've talked to them on this channel, very much understand what that means from a leadership standpoint. That this is all about community. We hear a lot of my job as a mayor, as a count, as a Duchess is very heavily to enable and engage the community. But for you listeners out there who haven't thought about it, or haven't been in a gaming leadership position, with a lot of things in the world, they're leadership roles. They're things that the sink or swim metric here is how much engagement. I was going to use the word fun, but it's not always fun. It's engagement. Do you get from the individuals that are around you? How much participation do you have? Like we've been discussing with Crux and Kjeldor here. How do you get people to log in and join up and contribute, communicate, enjoy that medium? It's just something to keep in mind as we move from alpha onward, and as the game takes more and more shape. That everything that you see in this world, because it's so large and expansive, and Soulbound more or less is creating an environment more than a dedicated series of thousands of quests like you see in World of Warcraft. They're creating an environment. And you're the gamekeepers of that environment, to coin the D&D phrase. You're the DM. You as a leader in Crux's case. Um, yeah, we'll talk about that, Serpentis. As the mayor of that location, you set a expectation, and in this case, it's that expectation is crafting. Um, and I think that's wonderful. Being able to know that if you come to Eisenhaven, um, there's going to be good folk there working metal, and Crux is going to be one of them. And if you can't see that, if you walk in the door and maybe you can't see that, I do know a man who's a candlestick maker looking for a butcher and a baker. Um, but that's what it's all about, at least in terms of the community building, is engaging the people and having those conversations. I know you two have played, worked with a lot of people in your gaming careers here, both in the Conclave and before that. And I don't know, in my experience, at least when I've been in such leadership roles, it's the people that are around you and those interactions, for better or for worse, that are a lot of fun. Would you agree with that?
Oh, for sure. I mean, yeah, it's certainly more fun. A game is always going to be more fun if you're not the only one having fun. Like, you
Yeah.
want to have a community that you can build around yourself, and that's pretty well literally what I'm trying to do.
Yeah, it's kind of how we in our group play games. Is we have a bunch of games that we always ask each other, "Hey, you want to play this? You want to play that?" And whoever says, "Hey, let's play this," we all play that together. Because
Yeah.
we're very much for playing games all together in our group instead of just doing our own thing.
Yeah, no, and I just want to reinforce that with everyone. Hey, that's listening, whether now or in the future. Like, um, we as a community in the Conclave, and most of the game communities out there, like, there's a sense of family. There's
Yeah.
a sense of community, and you engage, and that is, gosh darn it, it's a lot of fun. I know when we've had people come back after a long, short hiatus, it's fun seeing them come back. It's fun to pick up a game you haven't played in a long time, or maybe you never played it, with a group of people that you feel comfortable exploring that world with. So, I don't have any more questions for you, Crux or Kjeldor. Like, we gave you the list beforehand of things that think about to come up with an idea about, and we've run through them pretty heavily here. One last chance, just if there's a 1 minute plug for something near and dear to your heart, I want to give you the chance to do that.
I mean, I can't really think of much else to add.
No, that's good. That means I did my job, and I gave you guys each opportunity that you needed to talk about the things near and dear to your heart. I do want to give a quick shout out to our listeners, whether they're now or in the future. The Searing Plague event is still going on. Log in and contribute to one side or the other, albeit if you're looking forward to a plague-ish like world, you can choose to do nothing, or if you're a clever individual, maybe you can work towards those nefarious ends. If you're looking to eliminate the plague, maybe you're a part of our Discord or the Discords around that have groups. Yeah, final week, last chance, push over the hill. You can do it. No, the Searing Plague is going on. Log in, get rid of the plague, trade the plague, gather your cure, whatever it takes to contribute to this last week in contribute to the healing process, healing people. We'll end this Friday at 12 p.m. Pacific, and then we'll get to see where everything shook out. I know it was a nail biter. There was a lot of naysayers at the beginning. We've start to see the scales tip. I don't remember exactly what the percentage loadouts are. I'll take a look sometime here, but regardless, the point being is, if you've got a time to log in and contribute to the Searing Plague, then please do log into the Discord and contribute. it's just fun. I'm very thankful for Soulbound for putting on that event while we wait for the next step in the world. Um, but yeah, so basically, before we get to our goodbyes, I just want to give a quick reminder that we, the guests and the hosts of Face the Conclave, the show that you've been listening to, we hail from the Conclave of Aratar. If you or a friend of yours is a part of the Aratarian community and you wish to have a similar spotlight for your group, school, organization, or town, reach out to Jedzia for scheduling. We'll get you in the books. We'll have a conversation, much like what you've heard today. Now, if you've got a topic you'd like to talk about with the Illyrian community at large, be it crafting, politics, maybe you want to talk about the economy, what you think that'll look like. Maybe you're one of those steely, stabby people, and you want to discuss deviant lifestyles and why they're the ones for you. Or maybe you're more of your rigid lines, military-esque like people. We'll talk about general PvP lifestyles. But regardless, if there's a topic about the game mechanics or something like that you want to discuss, and you can pull up some ideas and some people, reach out to me, Asbestos, and we're going to put something together to discuss in this media form. Just a final reminder, we hold these casts every Sunday at 4, and it looks like Fridays at 8 Eastern. We used to do Wednesdays at 8 Eastern. And I'd encourage you to join in the Twitch chat to discuss the topics and the people that we're meeting in these casts. This has been Face the Conclave. I've been your host, Despicis, along with our guest here, Crux von Eisenhaven and Kjeldor B. Sorry, I can't say the last name. I was keeping it professional, but I can't say the last name correctly, so I'm not even gonna try. Bienemeister. Yeah, that was the first. Yeah, anyway. This has been Face the Conclave. I'm Asbestos with our guests, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye, folks.